Okay guys, today we're going to work on compound inequalities. And remember we talked about that we have to solve, graph, and name the interval notation. So the first one we're going to look at is an OR. So remember when I have OR, I'm basically going to take my two equations and solve them and get down to the piece down here where I can put them together. So let's focus on this one for a minute. So A is my only variable. I want to get this alone. So I'm going to get rid of this first. So that is a -1 or subtract 1. So the opposite of that is add 1. So I'm going to add 1 to both sides. This cancels -10a. And on the other side, if I do -1 plus 1, that's going to be 0. Now the only thing I have left to do is to get this a alone is to get this -10 off. So I'm going to divide both sides by -10. So we kind of have an issue. First of all, if I divide by any negative number, it doesn't matter what it is, I'm going to have to flip my inequality. So that means these cancel, and that's a, that's fine. But instead of having less than, it's going to become greater than. And then this side's going to be 0. So I have a is greater than 0. And I'm going to bring down my OR. Now I'm going to go to this other side. So I'm going to start by getting rid of this. So the opposite of adding 10 is subtracting 10. So that cancels. I have 3a is less than or equal to -15. And then in order to get a by itself, I'm going to get rid of this. So I have to divide both sides by 3. So this ends up being a is less than or equal to -5. So I'm going to bring this down here. Okay, so that's my answer. Hang on, I'll write that a little better there. There we go. And so now I've done the solve, so now I need to graph. So if I'm going to graph that, the only two numbers we care about on this are -5 and 0. So -5 and 0. Again, you can put more numbers in between if you want, but I have to at least have these important numbers from up here. Okay, so if I look at this one, that's going to be an open circle. And this is going to point the way my line's going. So my line's going to go in this direction. If I look at this one at -5, that's going to be a filled in circle. The line goes this way. So now I have my graph. So all I really have left now is my interval notation. So if I look at this, remember I start from all the way over here. This is coming from -infinity. So -infinity. And then this line stops at -5. So -5. And it's going to have a square on the end because this is a filled in circle. So if I keep going, it goes to 0. That's going to be a parentheses because that's an open circle, but it goes to positive infinity. Now, the only thing you need to do between these is do the U for the union, because your answer could be in this piece or in this piece. It could be in either one. Okay, now let's look at an and real quick. So same thing, we're going to solve, graph, and then I need to be able to name the interval notation. So if I start out solving, I'm going to put my line here just like before. So on this, if I want to get x by itself, I'm going to get rid of this. So the opposite of adding 8 is subtracting 8. So x is greater than or equal to 1. So I'm going to move this down here a little bit. I have my and. And then to do this piece, I'm going to work on getting x by itself again. So I'm going to get rid of subtracting 5. So I'm going to add 5. So that one is x is less than or equal to 10. So remember we said you have to be able to take these and write it as a full notation if it's an and. So out of 1 and 10, 10's bigger, so I'm going to start with this inequality first. And I know that 1's smaller, so that's going to go down here, because it should always be the bigger number up here and the smaller one here. Now, if you look at this inequality, this opens towards the x and points at the 1. I'm going to still make this open towards the x and points at the 1. So this will give you kind of your answer. Okay, now if I'm going to graph, the two numbers they care about are 1 and 10. Okay, if I'm going to graph this one, filled in circle at 1, it goes in this direction. If I'm going to do this one, this is a filled in circle at 10, and it goes the other way. Okay, I can see that it overlaps here. So to make this work, I have to bring this, this down, so that's a filled in circle. Bring this up, and it's a filled in circle. And then I'm going to fill in between. The answer is only this part that I have in pink right here. So that's it. The good news is interval notation is pretty easy because this basically starts at 1 and ends at 10. So I have this. At 1, it's a filled in circle, so it's going to be squared. Same thing at 10. Okay, go over your notebooks, and this will be our warm-up tomorrow.